Introduction: The invisible key to all success. There is a secret known to every truly successful man or woman, a secret more powerful than talent, luck, education, or even wealth. It's not written on diplomas, nor is it locked in vaults or whispered in boardrooms. Yet, it determines whether you rise to greatness or remain stuck in mediocrity. That secret is your attitude. But not just any attitude, a positive mental attitude, PMA. When Napoleon Hill joined forces with the dynamic businessman Clement Stone, they discovered something remarkable. Stone, a self-made multimillionaire, had built his empire not just on effort, but on an unshakable mindset. He had taken the principles in Think and Grow Rich and injected them with relentless optimism, discipline, and enthusiasm. Together, Hill and Stone created a roadmap for ordinary people to achieve extraordinary lives, not through magic or chance, but through the inner power of a positive mind. A positive mental attitude is not wishful thinking. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. It's a way of seeing, interpreting, and responding to life that transforms setbacks into stepping stones, adversity into advantage, and obstacles into opportunity. PMA is the spiritual magnet that draws solutions toward you even when the world seems to be collapsing. It's the mindset that refuses to be broken, no matter what storm arrives. This is the defining difference between those who succeed and those who give up. The successful do not avoid failure. They simply refuse to let failure define them. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They create it with their energy, focus, and unshakable belief. And it all begins with the attitude they choose to carry through every moment of their lives. Think of it like this. Every human being walks through life with a talisman in their pocket. On one side of the talisman is engraved PMA, positive mental attitude. On the other side, NMA, negative mental attitude. Every day, with every decision, every word, every reaction, you flip that talisman. You choose which side faces up. And that choice sets into motion a ripple effect that impacts your mood, your relationships, your income, your legacy. The man who believes in himself, even when others doubt, summons unseen forces to his side. The woman who sees opportunity in a problem instantly rises above her peers. The student who keeps going after failing the test, the entrepreneur who tries again after a bankrupt business, the father who stays optimistic in tough times. These are the warriors of PMA. They are not special. They are not superhuman. They have simply made a decision that most people never make, to think positively, speak positively, and act positively, regardless of circumstances. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. And in that response lies your power. This philosophy is not vague. It's backed by case after case of real people who have used PMA to overcome impossible odds. People who healed from illness, escaped poverty, rebuilt broken relationships, and created lives of purpose and fulfillment. And if it worked for them, it can work for you. Hill and Stone believed this with every fiber of their being. They lived it. They taught it. And now, it's your turn to take the torch and light the path ahead. In the pages and moments ahead, you will discover how to develop a PMA that is unbreakable under pressure. Turn defeat into victory through mental alchemy. Cultivate habits that reinforce success thinking. Use self-discipline to redirect your energy. Tap into the power of definiteness of purpose. Overcome fear, doubt, and procrastination with daily tools. Harness your invisible talisman to transform your future. Success is not an accident. It's a pattern, a formula, and it begins the moment you decide to align your thoughts with your dreams. If you've ever felt stuck, lost, defeated, or unsure of your next move, this message is for you. If you've been waiting for a sign to take back control of your life, this is it. Because there's no greater power than the mind trained to see the good in every challenge, the lesson in every failure, the spark in every setback. As you go deeper into this message, you will be guided step by step, not with empty motivation, but with proven strategies, stories, and principles that reshape the way you think, act, and ultimately succeed. The man or woman who learns to live with a positive mental attitude becomes unstoppable. Not because life becomes easier, but because they become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. PMA is the shield against despair, the fuel for action, and the compass that leads to the life you were meant to live. You are about to learn how to take control of your thoughts, your emotions, your results, and ultimately your destiny. Let's begin. Block 1. The hidden power within you. Choosing your mental attitude. Every individual is born with a mind, a body, and a soul, but only a few ever learn how to master the mind. And fewer still understand the colossal influence of a single decision made every day. The choice of mental attitude. At first glance, it may seem like a small, almost insignificant thing. After all, how can one's attitude determine wealth, happiness, health, or success? But therein lies the great misunderstanding. Your attitude isn't just a response to life, it's the force that shapes life itself. A positive mental attitude, PMA, is the lens through which you interpret every event, every setback, every victory. It is the silent engine behind your words, your actions, your habits, and your results. Most people drift through life unaware that they've surrendered control of their attitude to the winds of circumstance. They wake up, turn on the news, get discouraged, complain, get distracted, and hope for something good to happen. But hope without action is like a ship without sails. It drifts. Those who succeed, truly succeed. Understand that attitude is not something you adjust when things go wrong. It is the foundation you build before the storm ever arrives. It's a state of readiness, a posture of strength, a declaration to the world. No matter what happens, I will interpret it in a way that empowers me. Let us begin with a story. There once was a young man who had lost everything: his job, his family's home, and his self-esteem. He walked the streets in despair, angry at the world, convinced he was cursed. One day, he wandered into a small bookstore. There, tucked between the dusty shelves, he found a thin book titled "You Can If You Think You Can." He opened it, read a few lines, and something shifted. The words didn't give him money. They didn't fix his problems. But they gave him something far more valuable: a new way of thinking. He realized that while he couldn't control what had happened to him, he could control what happened next. That man went on to start a business, rebuild his life, and eventually become a mentor to others. What changed? Not the world. Not his luck. Just his attitude. This is the power of PMA. To develop a positive mental attitude, you must first recognize that your thoughts are not just reflections. They are causes. What you dwell upon expands. If you focus on problems, you magnify them. If you focus on possibilities, you begin to see doors where others see walls. The mind is like fertile soil. It will return whatever you plant: negative thoughts, excuses, fear, resentment, or courage, gratitude, belief, and vision. The soil doesn't care. It simply grows what you sow. PMA means you deliberately choose the seeds. You must become the master gardener of your own mind. But let us go deeper. PMA is not just a feel-good principle. It is a discipline. It takes mental effort to think positively in the face of adversity. It takes emotional maturity to rise above insults, setbacks, and rejection. It takes spiritual strength to look at defeat and say, "There is something here for me to learn. This will not break me. This will make me." And here's the secret most people overlook. Your attitude affects not only your own energy but the energy of everyone around you. It becomes magnetic. When you radiate confidence and optimism, people are drawn to you. Opportunities appear. Doors open. But when you project negativity, whether through words, posture, or silence, you repel success. Think of the leaders you admire. The champions, the builders, the visionaries. What do they all have in common? Unshakable attitude. Not blind optimism. Not unrealistic hope. But a persistent positive mindset that says, "I will find a way. If I fail, I will learn. If I am hurt, I will heal. If I am knocked down, I will rise again." Clement Stone used to say, "There is little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference." The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative. So how do you begin to shape your attitude? It starts with awareness. Monitor your thoughts. Pay attention to the inner dialogue you carry. Are you constantly criticizing yourself? Are you imagining worst-case scenarios? Are you replaying your failures like a broken record? PMA requires a new inner vocabulary. It replaces "I can't" with "I will find a way." It changes "this is too hard" to "this is my opportunity to grow stronger." It transforms "why me" into "what is this teaching me?" But it also goes further than words. PMA requires daily rituals, mental conditioning practices that shape your subconscious mind. Affirmations, visualization, gratitude journaling, and reading uplifting material are not luxuries. They are fuel. Every day that you skip them, you let the weeds grow. And there's more. Your environment matters. If you are surrounded by cynics, critics, and victims, you will absorb their energy. You must protect your mind like a fortress. Choose mentors, books, music, conversations, and goals that lift you. You are the average of your 5 most consistent influences. Choose wisely. Let us consider this truth. Life will test your attitude. It will throw disappointments, delays, betrayal, and uncertainty in your path. PMA is not about avoiding those experiences. It is about preparing yourself so that when they come, you are bigger than the challenge. You become someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives. Here is a practical tool, the mental attitude mirror. Every morning, before the world speaks to you, you speak to yourself. Look in the mirror and say out loud, "Today, I choose a positive mental attitude. I am strong. I am focused. I will face this day with power, gratitude, and purpose." It might feel silly at first, but repetition breeds belief, and belief changes behavior. Another tool, mental reset triggers. Whenever you catch yourself slipping into negativity, pause and breathe. Ask, "Is this thought serving my future?" If not, replace it. You are not a slave to your emotions. You are their commander. Finally, never forget this. Your attitude is the one thing that no one can take from you. It is your shield, your weapon, your anchor. In war, in heartbreak, in sickness, in failure. Your attitude is what will determine whether you are defeated or transformed. This is not theory. It is reality. Look around. 2 people can face the same crisis. One collapses, the other rises. The difference is not luck, or genes, or education. The difference is attitude. And this is why PMA must become your lifelong commitment. Not just when it's easy, especially when it's hard. Your future is not determined by what you know. It is determined by how you think. If you want to create wealth, joy, love, and legacy, start with your attitude, because success is not outside you. It begins within you. Block 2. Defeat is never final, turning failure into fuel. The average person fears failure more than poverty, more than death, more than ridicule. It paralyzes action, poisons ambition, and kills dreams before they're born. But what if you could train your mind to see failure not as the end, but as the beginning? That is the essence of the positive mental attitude. It transforms defeat into instruction, pain into power, and failure into fuel. Napoleon Hill understood something very few people truly grasp. There is no failure until you accept it as such. What appears to be failure in one moment may be the very foundation of your next breakthrough, if you have the eyes to see it and the will to keep going. Let's begin with a powerful truth. Temporary defeat is part of the price of success. Not a punishment. Not a sign you should quit. But a toll you must pay to gain the strength, the clarity, the humility, and the wisdom required for real victory. In their studies and interviews with hundreds of the most successful individuals of their time, Hill and Stone discovered that nearly all of them had suffered deep setbacks. Bankruptcy, betrayal, rejection, sickness, loss. But the ones who rose to the top were those who chose not to view those events as permanent. They adopted a positive mental attitude in the midst of devastation, and that single choice turned the tide. You see, your outer circumstances can collapse, but if your mind stands strong, you remain undefeated. Let us consider the case of Henry Ford. Before he created the Model T, he had failed in business 5 times. Banks refused him. Critics laughed. Partners abandoned him. Yet he persisted. Why? Because he carried within himself a vision. and a belief that defeat was merely temporary. That mental attitude gave him the power to rebuild, reattempt, and ultimately revolutionize the world. Or take Thomas Edison. He failed over 10,000 times while trying to invent the light bulb. When asked about his endless failures, he replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is not cleverness. It is mental mastery. It is PMA in action. So how do you develop this ability to turn failure into fuel? First, you must redefine what failure means to you. Most people see failure as a verdict. You must see it as feedback. Every setback carries within it a message, if you are wise enough to listen. Did you move too quickly? Did you act without enough knowledge? Did you ignore a warning sign? Did you compromise your values? Failure reveals the gaps in your strategy or your character, and that knowledge is priceless. Second, you must detach your identity from your outcomes. You are not your results. You are not your losses. You are not your worst day. Your identity must be rooted in something deeper. Your values, your vision, your commitment to growth. With PMA, you recognize that while you may have lost the battle, you are still capable of winning the war. A single moment does not define a lifetime. Third, and most importantly, you must train your inner voice. The voice that speaks to you after failure is the most powerful one in your life. Most people let that voice become their enemy. It says, "You're not good enough. You'll never make it. You're a fraud." But PMA trains you to respond, "This is a lesson. I will rise. I am being refined, not rejected. My destiny is not cancelled, it's being rerouted." This is not blind optimism. It is conscious resilience. PMA does not mean you ignore pain. It means you don't surrender to it. There is a difference. Let's be practical. When failure strikes, here are 5 steps you can take to turn it into fuel. Pause. Don't panic. Take a breath. Don't react impulsively. Let the storm settle. Write down the facts. What actually happened? Separate emotions from events. Extract the lesson. What can this teach you? Be brutally honest. Renew your vision. Reconnect with your purpose. Why did you start? Take the next right action. Not 10 steps. Just 1. Build momentum again. One of the greatest tragedies is that most people quit too soon. They give up when they are inches from breakthrough. Why? Because they mistake the pain of the process for the absence of progress. But success is not always visible in the early stages. Sometimes, the seed must break before it blooms. Sometimes, the foundation must be laid underground before the structure rises. PMA allows you to trust the process even when you can't see the result yet. Remember this, every master was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every expert was once insecure. Every winner once lost. What separates them is not talent. It is tenacity. But let's go deeper still. Some defeats are deeply personal. Betrayal, divorce, bankruptcy, illness, loss of a loved one. These moments cut beyond ambition. They strike the soul. And in those moments, PMA is not just a success strategy, it is a lifeline. When your world collapses, when the future you plan dies, you have a choice, to sink into despair or to rise and create a new meaning. PMA helps you ask the deeper questions. What can I build now? Who can I become through this? How can I use this pain to serve others? It is in the fire of adversity that your true power is revealed. There is a beautiful quote by W. Clement Stone, "Definiteness of purpose with positive mental attitude is the starting point of all worthwhile achievement." That means you must not only think positively, but aim that thinking at a specific target. Otherwise, your energy dissipates. Your attitude becomes vague. PMA is most powerful when attached to a clear mission. So, revisit your goals. Reignite your purpose. Use failure not as evidence that you are unworthy, but as a sacred invitation to rise stronger, smarter, and more determined. Let's remember the example of Abraham Lincoln. He failed in business, lost multiple elections, suffered depression, and endured immense personal grief. And yet, through it all, He carried within himself a belief that he had a greater purpose. That belief, that attitude, sustained him. Eventually, he became one of the most impactful leaders in history. What carried him through? Not wealth, not perfect conditions, but a relentless, positive, purpose-driven attitude. You have that power, too. In this very moment, you may be facing your own form of defeat. Maybe you've lost a job, or a relationship, or your confidence. But hear this, you are not done. Your story is not finished. The best chapters are still unwritten. And it begins with the attitude you choose today. Decide that your failure will not define you. It will refine you. Decide that your pain will not destroy you. It will awaken you. Decide that your past will not imprison you. It will prepare you. Because every defeat you survive makes you wiser, deeper, and more powerful. And that is the ultimate lesson of PMA. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose what you become as a result. Block 3. Your mind is a magnet. Autosuggestion and the power of self-talk. There is a silent force guiding every decision you make, every step you take, every risk you avoid or accept. It is not fate. It is not luck. It is the mental dialogue you repeat to yourself daily, consciously or unconsciously. The principle is simple, but often misunderstood. You become what you think about most of the time. And not just what you think, but how you think, your tone, your focus, your belief. This is why Napoleon Hill emphasized autosuggestion as one of the cornerstones of achievement. And in the teachings Hill developed with W. Clement Stone, autosuggestion becomes even more potent when infused with positive mental attitude. PMA plus autosuggestion equals mental alchemy. Autosuggestion is the act of deliberately feeding your subconscious mind the ideas, beliefs, and intentions you want it to absorb as truth. Because your subconscious is always listening. And it cannot distinguish between what is real and what is repeated. Every day, you are planting seeds in your subconscious mind through your thoughts and words. And your subconscious returns them to you as emotion, energy, decision-making, and action. If you tell yourself often enough, I always fail, your subconscious will comply. It will start guiding your behaviors toward failure. Not because you're cursed, but because the command has been accepted. If you constantly think, I'm not good enough, you will act in ways that sabotage your potential, avoiding challenges, shrinking back, procrastinating, doubting. But if you shift that internal voice, if you begin saying with conviction, I am capable, I am being prepared for success, I am growing stronger each day, your subconscious will receive those words like a compass. And your behaviors, choices, and energy will begin to align with that new belief. Let's be clear, autosuggestion is not magic. It is not lying to yourself. It is mental training. Just as you train the body through repetition, you train the mind through consistent, focused language. You are not faking confidence. You are building it from within, one thought at a time. W. Clement Stone practiced this principle daily. He wrote his goals on cards and carried them in his pocket. He repeated affirmations out loud each morning. He filled his environment with quotes, visual cues, and people who spoke the same language of success. He saturated his mind with positivity and intention. Why? Because he understood that success begins inside, and the more intensely you focus your mental energy toward a goal, the more creative, resilient, and resourceful you become in reaching it. Let's break this down further. Your mind operates on two levels: the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious is where you analyze, plan, worry, and decide. The subconscious is where your deep beliefs live, and it's what actually runs the show. The subconscious controls over 90% of your behaviors, and it accepts what the conscious mind repeats often and emotionally. So if you speak with belief, clarity, and passion, the subconscious treats it as truth and adjusts your actions accordingly. This is why emotion is crucial. A lifeless affirmation has no power, but a declaration spoken with faith, repetition, and feeling, that's how mountains are moved. Now let's talk about practical application. Here is the basic formula of effective autosuggestion. Clarity. You must know exactly what you want. Vague goals create vague results. I want to be rich is not enough. I am earning $100,000 a year by providing massive value through my business, is specific and powerful. Present tense. Speak your affirmation as if it is already happening. This tricks the subconscious into aligning your actions now, not someday. Emotion. Add intensity. Feel the words. Imagine them as true. This imprints them deeply. Repetition. Once a day is a wish. 10 times a day is a discipline. Repeat with consistency. Visualization. As you repeat your affirmation, see it in your mind. In detail. Engage your senses. Here's an example of an effective auto-suggestion. I am a confident, successful leader. Every day, I grow stronger, wiser, and more valuable. I attract opportunities because I deliver excellence. I am focused, disciplined, and filled with purpose. This kind of statement, repeated daily with emotion, will begin to rewire your identity. And identity is what ultimately drives your destiny. But here's what most people don't realize. You are already using autosuggestion, whether you mean to or not. Every time you say, I'm too tired, or I can't focus, or I'm just not lucky, you're programming your subconscious. Every complaint, every limiting belief, every sarcastic comment about your own ability, it all sinks in. PMA requires that you become intentional with your inner dialogue. You become a gatekeeper. You watch your words. You challenge your negative self-talk. And you replace it with a higher truth. Let's go deeper still. There's a link between your inner voice and your self-image. And your self-image is the thermostat of your life. You can only rise to the level of success your self-image believes is safe or possible. If you see yourself as weak, you will not pursue strength. If you see yourself as mediocre, you will resist excellence. If you see yourself as undeserving, you will subconsciously block abundance. Autosuggestion allows you to rebuild your self-image, word by word, line by line, until the person you used to be is no longer in control, and the person you are becoming takes the lead. Clement Stone believed in the power of moral character and integrity as part of this process. PMA is not about ego. It's about lifting your thoughts so you can lift your actions and serve the world more fully. As you affirm your strengths, you must also affirm your values. Honesty, discipline, compassion, courage. These are the real pillars of lasting success. Let's apply this to a real-life scenario. Imagine you are starting a business. You're scared. The economy is uncertain. You've failed before. But instead of feeding your fear, you begin using PMA and autosuggestion. Every morning, you declare, I am a capable, confident entrepreneur. I solve problems. I create value. I am building a thriving company that helps people and supports my family. You repeat it during your walk. You visualize it before your calls. You speak it in the mirror. Slowly, your posture changes. Your voice changes. Your decisions improve. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is the unseen power of self-talk. It doesn't make things easier. It makes you stronger. Let's finish this block with a powerful reminder. You are always becoming. Every thought is shaping you. Every word is carving a path in your brain. The person you will be 1 year from today will be a direct result of the thoughts you repeat the most. Choose them wisely. Feed your mind the language of power, possibility, purpose, and progress. And no matter what life throws at you, you will be ready. Block 4. The discipline of positive action, turning thoughts into results. A positive mental attitude, powerful as it is, cannot produce results by itself. Thought is the beginning, but action is the bridge between desire and achievement. Without action, belief becomes fantasy. And without discipline, even the strongest intentions collapse. This is the uncomfortable truth most people ignore. Success is not only about mindset, it is about action backed by mindset, repeated with discipline over time. Clement Stone understood this well. He built his multimillion-dollar insurance empire not just by thinking positively, but by acting decisively, every single day. His motto was simple, direct, and unforgettable: do it now. These 3 words became the fuel behind a life of extraordinary productivity and achievement. Let us be very clear. Positive mental attitude is not a substitute for work. It is the fuel that powers the work. It is the emotional energy that pushes you through resistance, doubt, fear, boredom, and fatigue. But if there is no work, no movement, then that energy has no direction. And direction is everything. Your thoughts must become habits. Your habits must become systems. And your systems must be aligned with your purpose. Discipline is the silent partner of success. It is not glamorous. It is not exciting. But it is the foundation upon which all long-term results are built. It is what keeps you going after the motivation fades. It is what turns dreams into routines, and routines into outcomes. Let's unpack this practically. The first step is to understand that every day matters. Your results are not the product of random bursts of brilliance. They are the result of consistent behaviors executed over weeks, months, and years. You don't get fit by going to the gym once. You don't build wealth by working hard for a single week. You don't create impact by speaking positively when life is easy. You earn these things by repeating powerful behaviors over and over again, especially when you don't feel like it. And this is where PMA shows its true strength. A person without PMA sees discipline as punishment. A person with PMA sees discipline as empowerment. You don't brush your teeth because it's thrilling. You do it because it's necessary. The same is true for planning your day, managing your time, writing your goals, making that difficult phone call, following up with a lead, practicing your skill, and reviewing your results. These are not optional if success is your goal. Clement Stone taught that success is achieved by those who make a habit of doing the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. What are those things? Taking action without immediate reward. Delaying gratification. Facing rejection. Organizing your day. Sticking to your standards. Saying no to distractions. Doing the boring work with enthusiasm. That's discipline. And it becomes easier when it's built on a solid positive mental attitude. Now let's explore the key pillars of disciplined action. 1. Definiteness of purpose. You must know exactly what you want. Vague desires lead to vague actions. Clarity is the seed of all focused energy. Ask yourself, what am I building? Why does it matter? What does the finished product look like? When you're clear, you can reverse engineer your behavior. You stop wasting time on what doesn't matter. 2. Daily prioritization. Every night, write down the 3 most important things to accomplish the next day. Don't rely on memory. Don't wait to feel inspired. Let your written priorities direct your effort. And in the morning, tackle the hardest one first. This builds momentum and self-respect. 3. Time management. Your calendar is a mirror of your values. Are you making time for learning, for action, for reflection? Or are you letting other people's agendas steal your time? With PMA, time becomes sacred. You protect it. You shape it. You use it as a weapon. 4. Habit stacking. Link your desired behaviors to existing ones. After you wake up, you review your goals. After your workout, you say your affirmations. After lunch, you read a few pages of a powerful book. This minimizes resistance and automates progress. 5. Tracking and accountability. What gets measured improves. Track your habits, your results, your actions. Use a journal, a checklist, an app, whatever works. And if you struggle to stay consistent, get an accountability partner or coach who will not let you off the hook. These tools might sound simple, even obvious, but simplicity is not your enemy. Inconsistency is. PMA helps you approach these habits not with dread, but with enthusiasm. You say to yourself, I get to do this. I'm building something. I'm becoming someone. Let us now examine how PMA transforms even the smallest tasks. The person without PMA sees a sales call as a chore. The person with PMA sees it as an opportunity to connect, serve, and grow. The person without PMA sees budgeting as tedious. The person with PMA sees it as empowering stewardship of wealth. The task doesn't change. The attitude does. And over time, that attitude reshapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, who keeps promises to yourself, who doesn't need to feel ready. You act because you are committed, not because you are comfortable. That's where confidence is born. Not in thoughts, but in actions repeated until they become identity. Now let's address a major obstacle: procrastination. Procrastination is not laziness. It is a habit of avoidance, usually driven by fear, perfectionism, or lack of clarity. PMA tackles procrastination with this question: what is the next simple step I can take right now? It breaks down the mountain into a single step. It silences the inner critic by focusing on momentum, and it turns the abstract into the actionable. You don't have to climb the whole staircase, just take the first step. And when you take that step, something shifts. The mind begins to cooperate. The energy increases. The fear shrinks. The action pulls you forward. One small action, done now, is infinitely more valuable than 10 brilliant ideas you never execute. Stone's famous affirmation was, "I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific." He would say it with emotion and physical movement. Why? Because he knew that state drives action. And you can create state through language, physiology, and decision. So when you wake up tired, say it anyway. When you feel low, act as if you felt terrific. When you're discouraged, move your body, speak your goals, take one action. Your brain follows motion. Let us end this block with a powerful truth. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the path to it. Without discipline, you are a slave to emotion, distraction, and circumstance. With discipline, you become the architect of your time, your energy, and your life. PMA gives you the emotional power to take action. Discipline ensures that your action creates results. Together, they make you unstoppable. Block 5, Environment and Influence. Shaping a life of success through surroundings. You can have the best mindset in the world. You can affirm your goals every morning, speak with clarity, and act with discipline. But if you are surrounded by negativity, by toxic voices, by chaotic environments that feed distraction and fear, your progress will always be under attack. Why? Because the environment you live in is either reinforcing your positive mental attitude or eroding it. Clement Stone taught this with unwavering conviction. He didn't just train minds, he engineered environments. He surrounded himself with people, words, routines, and energy that lifted him toward his goals. He knew that willpower was not enough. You must build a world that supports the life you are creating. Let's make this very clear. Success is not only internal, it is also external. Your surroundings are a mirror. They reflect and reinforce the beliefs you live by. If you spend time with complainers, you will become one. If your office is disorganized and cluttered, your mind will follow. If your daily conversations are full of doubt, gossip, and fear, your mind, no matter how strong, will be poisoned drop by drop. But the opposite is also true. When you craft an environment that speaks life, purpose, order, and excellence, it lifts you effortlessly. Like a rising tide, it elevates your thoughts, your emotions, and your daily decisions. Let's examine the 5 critical areas of environment that determine the direction of your life. 1. People. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This is not just a catchy quote, it is a law of human behavior. We absorb the beliefs, habits, vocabulary, and energy of those around us. If your circle is full of fear, you will second-guess your vision. If your friends are passive, you'll hesitate to take bold action. If your mentors are absent, your growth will stall. You must choose your associations intentionally. Who challenges you to rise higher? Who supports your vision with belief? Who drains your energy, feeds your doubt, or distracts your purpose? Start making quiet but firm adjustments. Spend more time with driven, positive, growth-oriented people, even if that means books, podcasts, or mentors from afar. And eliminate, or limit, access to those who pull you down. You do not owe anyone access to your energy if they are not protecting your mission. 2. Words and language. The language you hear daily becomes the programming of your subconscious. If you are immersed in sarcasm, defeatist humor, self-deprecating jokes, and cynical news, you are breathing mental toxins. W. Clement Stone built an environment where people spoke in affirmations. Do it now. I feel terrific. Success is possible. These weren't slogans, they were standards. You must create an atmosphere where empowering words dominate the air. What quotes are on your walls? What mantras do you repeat during stress? What audio do you listen to while driving? What books are near your bed? Words shape beliefs, and beliefs shape results. 3. Physical environment. Your space reflects your mindset. A cluttered room creates mental chaos. A messy desk reduces focus. A chaotic schedule fosters anxiety. PMA thrives in order, beauty, and intention. Your home, office, car, calendar, every environment you touch, must reflect the clarity you want in your life. This doesn't require money. It requires awareness. Organize your desk. Clean your kitchen. Delete unnecessary apps. Create a morning space for silence, reflection, and planning. Turn your environment into an ally, not a distraction. 4. Digital environment. In a world saturated by screens, your digital environment is just as powerful as your physical one. Your phone, your inbox, your feed, these are influencing you every second. What do you see when you open your phone? Are your notifications helpful or chaotic? Do your social media feeds inspire or drain? PMA cannot thrive when you're constantly bombarded by comparison, fear, outrage, or noise. Take control. Unfollow negative accounts. Turn off notifications that don't serve you. Curate your screen time. Your attention is sacred. Treat it that way. 5. Routines and rhythms. An environment is not just a place. It's also a rhythm, the flow of your day, the order of your priorities, the rituals that shape your energy. Winners do not rely on motivation. They create systems that keep them moving forward. What are your routines? Morning. Is it reactive or is it intentional? Midday. Do you recalibrate or get lost in distractions? Evening. Do you reflect and recharge or collapse into chaos? Create anchor routines. These are moments that stabilize your day. Morning affirmations. Midday check-ins with your goals. Evening review and visualization. These routines turn your day into a machine that runs on positive mental attitude. Now, let's go deeper. There is a psychological principle called environmental confirmation. It means you will behave in a way that confirms what your environment suggests is normal. If everyone around you treats laziness as acceptable, you will slowly adopt it. If your surroundings reflect excellence, you will begin to embody it, even if you didn't believe it before. This is how culture shapes character. If you want to change your identity, change your environment first. Want to be fit? Spend time in gyms and health-oriented communities. Want to build wealth? Be around investors, builders, entrepreneurs. Want to deepen your spirituality? Surround yourself with people and spaces of devotion. Environment is more powerful than will. Final truth of this block. You don't just live in your environment. Your environment lives in you. It speaks to you even when you're not listening. It trains your nervous system. It creates your emotional baseline. It either reminds you of who you are becoming or of who you used to be. So design it with care. Make your space a temple, not a trap. Make your circle a fire, not a fog. Make your time a tool, not a thief. When your environment supports your positive mental attitude, everything becomes easier. You think better. You feel stronger. You act faster. Because you are no longer swimming upstream, you're moving with the current of your own design. Block 6. The power of faith, persistence, and purpose. Becoming unstoppable. Positive mental attitude is the foundation. Discipline is the structure. Environment is the support. But to live a truly extraordinary life, one marked by contribution, wealth, peace, and impact, you must ignite it all with faith, persistence, and a burning sense of purpose. Without these three elements, even the strongest mental attitude will fade in the face of adversity. But when they are activated, you become unstoppable, not because life becomes easy, but because you become unshakable. Let's begin with faith. Not blind belief, not superstition, but deep, deliberate, conscious trust in yourself, in your vision, and in the unseen forces that move when you move. Clement Stone and Napoleon Hill both believed in the power of faith. Not just religious faith, but faith as an inner certainty. A knowing that, no matter what things look like right now, something greater is unfolding. That your efforts matter. That you are being guided, tested, refined, and prepared. Faith is the antidote to fear. Fear paralyzes. Faith propels. Fear looks at the facts and freezes. Faith looks at the vision and moves anyway. Faith allows you to take the first step without seeing the full staircase. This is not irrational. It is deeply rational, because in life, the biggest wins go to those who act with incomplete information. If you wait until everything is certain, you will always be too late. Faith allows you to begin before you're ready, to speak before you're confident, to act before the world approves. Faith is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows when it's exercised, especially under pressure. Now let's move to persistence. Persistence is faith in motion. It's what happens when belief meets action, over and over again. The world does not reward the most talented. It rewards the most consistent. The ones who keep showing up after others quit. The ones who get back up after falling for the 7th time. The ones who endure ridicule, rejection, and delay without abandoning their mission. PMA alone will not keep you moving. But when PMA is combined with a stubborn refusal to give up, you become a force of nature. Napoleon Hill devoted an entire chapter of Think and Grow Rich to persistence for good reason. He knew that most people stop just inches from gold. They abandon their dream because of temporary resistance. They misinterpret obstacles as signs to quit, instead of signals to adapt and push forward. Persistence is not just about effort, it's about emotional endurance. It's the ability to manage your energy, your focus, and your emotions over the long term. To keep going through confusion, through fatigue, through silence. Let's be clear, persistence does not mean repeating the same mistake. It means remaining loyal to the goal, while adapting your strategy, deepening your mindset, and sharpening your skills. You persist intelligently, not blindly. And how do you persist when everything inside you wants to quit? You must connect to something bigger than yourself. Which brings us to the final and most powerful element of all. Purpose. Purpose is the fire in your soul. It is the why behind your goals. It is the answer to the deepest question of all. What am I here to do? When you have purpose, you can endure any storm. You can climb any hill. You can reinvent yourself as many times as needed, because your life is not about comfort. It's about calling. Purpose gives pain meaning. It gives sacrifice a reason. It turns effort into legacy. Clement Stone didn't just build an empire for money. He built it to teach others the power of attitude and faith. Napoleon Hill didn't write books for fame. He wrote because he was called to document the principles of success for generations to come. That's purpose. So ask yourself right now, why am I doing this? Who am I becoming? What legacy am I building? If your answers are vague, your energy will be weak. If your answers are clear, your motivation will be limitless. Because money is a weak motivator. Status fades. Applause dies. But purpose? Purpose wakes you up early. Purpose keeps you going late. Purpose silences the critic in your mind and the fear in your gut. When you live with PMA, fueled by purpose, faith, and persistence, you tap into your full potential as a human being. You become a builder of dreams, a leader of light, a conqueror of fear, a servant of something greater than yourself. And here's the truth. The world is waiting for you to step fully into that version of yourself. There are people you haven't met yet who are depending on you to become who you're meant to be. There are doors that will never open until you knock. There are lives that will never be changed unless you rise. The moment you combine positive mental attitude with unshakable faith, persistent action, and a clear purpose, you unlock a power that no obstacle can stop. You no longer react to life. You direct it. You no longer seek permission. You live on mission. You no longer doubt your worth. You express it fully. This is the ultimate promise of the philosophy taught by Hill and Stone. That any man or woman, regardless of background, education, past mistakes, or current status, can create a life of significance and success. Not by waiting, not by wishing, but by choosing every single day to think positively, act boldly, persist courageously, and live purposefully. Your mind is the gateway. Your actions are the bridge. Your purpose is the fuel. And your attitude is the master key. Final summary. The master key was always in your hands. When all is said and done, when the lessons are read, the affirmations spoken, the disciplines applied, and the challenges faced, one truth remains. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your mental attitude. That's not just a motivational phrase. It is a law of life. Just as gravity pulls objects toward the earth, your thoughts pull experiences toward your reality. Not instantly, not magically, but consistently, through your focus, your emotions, your decisions, and your persistence. From the very beginning of this journey, we've returned again and again to the same core principle. Positive mental attitude, PMA, is not optional for success, it is essential. It is the invisible master key that opens every locked door, activates every dormant gift, and transforms every setback into progress. This idea is not abstract. It's been proven in the lives of countless men and women, some famous, most unknown, who chose to think differently, act deliberately, and persist with courage. Let us now bring everything together. PMA is the root of all true success. Success is not just about goals. It's not only about wealth or achievement. Real success is the ability to live in alignment with your purpose, to turn challenges into growth, and to serve others through your gifts. PMA gives you the emotional strength to do that. When life disappoints you, PMA helps you see the opportunity hidden in the pain. When fear knocks on your door, PMA helps you open it with confidence instead of retreat. When you fail, PMA reminds you that failure is feedback, not finality. It is the mental attitude you carry into each day that determines how you perceive, respond to, and grow through life's events. With PMA, you are never truly defeated, unless you choose to be. Autosuggestion and self-talk, the voice that shapes your destiny. We learn that every day you are speaking to yourself, and your subconscious is always listening. If your inner voice is full of doubt, sarcasm, fear, and complaint, your subconscious will quietly begin to sabotage your growth. Not because it hates you, but because you programmed it that way. But when you intentionally repeat empowering beliefs, when you visualize your success, when you affirm your purpose with feeling and clarity, you begin to recode your identity. And your identity dictates your behavior. It is impossible to outperform your self-image. This is why autosuggestion is the language of change. It takes thought and turns it into belief. It takes desire and turns it into direction. Discipline, the action that turns belief into reality. Thoughts are powerful. Beliefs are sacred. But without action, they are nothing. Discipline is what transforms intention into achievement. It's the act of doing what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable, boring, or uncertain. With PMA, discipline becomes joyful. Not because the tasks are always fun, but because you've linked them to your purpose. You understand that every small action builds momentum. That success is not a leap. It is a rhythm. Planning your day. Waking up early. Practicing your skill. Following up. Tracking progress. These are not minor behaviors. They are the rituals of champions. Discipline doesn't restrict your freedom. It creates it. Your environment is your mirror. You do not rise above your environment. You are shaped by it. Every voice you hear, every image you see, every routine you follow is influencing your mind. If your space is cluttered, your thoughts will be foggy. If your friends are negative, your confidence will decay. If your digital world is full of noise, outrage, and comparison, your focus will fracture. You must create a space, physical, mental, emotional, and digital, that protects and multiplies your positive mental attitude. Curate your circle. Control your input. Clean your space. Simplify your systems. Success does not grow in chaos. It grows in order and intention. Faith, persistence, and purpose. The fuel for the journey. You can have the mindset. You can have the strategy. You can have the skill. But without faith, you will freeze the moment results don't appear fast. Without persistence, you will quit at the first setback. Without purpose, you will lose motivation when things get uncomfortable. These three elements are not accessories. They are your inner fire. Faith says, even though I cannot see it yet, I believe it's possible. Persistence says, I will keep going, even when I'm tired, afraid, or discouraged. Purpose says, this is bigger than me. This matters. This is who I was born to be. When you align these with a positive mental attitude, you don't just pursue success, you embody it. The greatest secret: you already have everything you need. Hill and Stone didn't create something new. They revealed what was already in you. You already have the ability to choose your thoughts. You already have the power to speak differently to yourself. You already have the ability to act daily, to design your environment, to strengthen your will. The secret was never in a technique. It was in your decision. A decision to reject the passive, the reactive, the defeated mindset, and instead embrace the bold, the intentional, the courageous life. And that decision begins right now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier. Not when you feel ready. Because your future is not waiting for better conditions. It's waiting for a better you. Final reflection. Who you will be if you live this philosophy. If you live the message of positive mental attitude, you will become the kind of person who turns every challenge into a reason to grow. You will see fear as a signal to rise, not a wall to hide behind. You will no longer be a prisoner of doubt, emotion, or criticism. You will act boldly, speak clearly, and move intentionally. You will attract opportunity, connection, and respect, because you will radiate certainty and conviction. You will serve more, love more, and create more, because you are no longer trapped in your head. You are activated in your life. You will not be perfect, but you will be powerful. You will not control the world, but you will master yourself. And that is the ultimate victory. Because when you master your attitude, you master your life. The master key is in your hands. Use it.